Okay, so we're going to start with the release portion of the protocol. So you're going to take a lacrosse ball or a softball or a foam roller, and we're going to get into the outside of our hip region here, into the front of the hip there, trying to get some pressure over those areas. So you can sit on that lacrosse ball, get some pressure into the tissues of your hip here. We can lie more on our side to get into that lateral hip that way, being sure to get some pressure into those muscles. Spend 2 to 5 minutes rolling on one side of your hip. Okay, next we're going to mobilize the hip capsule. So to do that, we're going to put one knee down on the ground. You can tuck your toes under, get your body weight over top of that knee, and then we're just going to dig in here and sort of hunt around, trying to mobilize that hip. You want to think of putting all that pressure down through your leg into the floor on that knee. This back leg here is just for a little bit of balance and support. Move around, find some tight spots. Again, you're trying to make yourself feel like you're going to pop your hip out of the socket here in the back by getting lots of weight over top of that knee. So next we're going to discover the end range of motion for hip internal rotation. So I like using 90-90 position for this. So starting out with the 90-degree angle at both knees, here and here. My 2 upper leg bones are making a 90-degree angle. And if you were to draw a straight line from the sole of my foot, it would come right through my back shin. Now this back leg is internally rotated, or my hip is internally rotated. To find my end range here, I want to keep my spine nice and tall, rotate my chest towards this knee, and then lean in towards that knee. You're going to start to feel a stretch in your hip here. Don't want to feel any pinching, but you want to feel like you found the end range of your hip rotation. We're going to hold for 2 minutes. So now we're going to develop some strength at end range hip internal rotation, and also increase our range of motion temporarily. So we're going to do some pails and rails here. Starting in that end range hip rotation, I'm going to gently start to drive my ankle down into the floor, thinking of scooping your foot into the floor. And if there's a scale under that foot, you're trying to make it weigh 500 pounds. We're squeezing as hard as you can for 10 seconds. Then you're going to release that, try to make that scale weigh 0 pounds by rotating your hip even more so internally. Again, because of your position here, that foot's not going to come off the ground, but your hip's going to be working very hard. You can do 3 sets of 10 seconds in each direction. Okay, so now we're done our 3 sets of 10-second pails and rails on that leg. We want to express that new range of motion that that technique just created. So we're going to go down into a prone position that's face down on the floor. I'm going to pull my knee up to about my hip height, keeping my knee at 90 degrees. Again, this looks very similar to the way my leg was in 90-90. From here, I'm going to actively move my hip through full range of internal rotation, holding for a second at the top, squeezing my hip muscles, controlling back down. We're going to do 10 reps just like that to express that new range of motion. The final step here is to allow your brain and your nervous system to learn that new range of motion and to let your body know that it's okay if that ever happens. So we're going to finish it off with some standing hip cars. I posted these before, but I'll coach you guys through it. We want to rotate through the entire hip car. So I'm driving my knee to the ceiling as I'm trying to pull my heel up to the ceiling as well. Once I can't get any farther, I'm going to send my knee out, still trying to maintain that rotation of my hip. Once I get as far as I can go, now I'm trying to move my hip internally so that my heel drives back as my knee stays as high as possible. And then we're going to scoop through. I like doing 3 of these to finish off the remodel process. And then you guys are going to flip and do the other leg.